Okay, so we are living through this absolutely insane tech revolution, right? And 2026, that's the year it just goes into overdrive. But here's the twist. The biggest changes, the really important stuff, it's not the shiny new gadgets you'll see on the shelves. No, we're talking about a fundamental rewiring of, well, everything. It's all being driven by these forces that are just getting stronger and stronger every single day.
Yeah, the real action is happening behind the curtain. We're talking deep inside the computer chips and across this massive global network that's being rebuilt at just lightning speed. So let's do this. Let's peel back the layers and see what's really going on, from the tech you can hold in your hand to the invisible forces you can't.
All right, so let's start with the stuff we can actually see and touch, right? The tangible tech. We're talking about the hardware that's making all the headlines and, frankly, changing how we interact with our digital lives. For more than a decade now, our phones have been kind of boring, right? Just the same old black rectangle. But that's finally changing. 2026 is the year we're seeing this explosion of new shapes and sizes. You've got folding phones from companies like Samsung becoming way more common. And hey, even Apple is rumored to be getting in on the action. But the real prize, the holy grail everyone is chasing, that's the first truly AI native device. Something built from the ground up designed to put the power of something like ChatGPT right in the palm of your hand all the time. And this wave of new stuff, it's not just about phones. It's hitting literally every part of our lives. So in your living room, you're going to see these new micro RGB TVs from Samsung and LG that make the picture just pop with brightness and color like never before. Then on our faces, smart glasses from Meta are getting lighter, smaller, and a whole lot smarter. And then you step outside, and self-driving cars, they're not just a sci-fi dream anymore. Waymo is rolling out in huge cities like New York and London. At the same time, you've got Chinese companies like Baidu bringing their robotaxis to Europe and the UAE. It's happening. But look, all this cool new hardware, it's really just the tip of the iceberg. What's actually driving this whole revolution? It's the brains behind the operation. We're talking about artificial intelligence and the ridiculously powerful chips that make it all run. So in 2026, the AI world is basically a battle of the titans. In one corner, you've got OpenAI, right? The company that gave us ChatGPT. They're expected to drop a significantly more powerful GPT-6. And in the other corner, you've got the giant Google. They're laser focused on weaving their Gemini AI into absolutely everything. I mean, from your search results to your email to the point where it just becomes invisible. It is a true neck and neck race. And we're all just along for the ride. Okay, so with all this talk about super powerful AI, it naturally leads to the big question. What about AGI? Artificial general intelligence. The kind of AI that can think and reason just like a human. Well, according to experts like Tim Baharan, we need to pump the brakes a little. His take is that we're just not there yet. The models are getting incredibly good, for sure, but that true, human-like intelligence, that's probably still a few years down the road at least. But here's the thing about AI. It's only as good as the hardware it runs on. And believe me, that's where the real war is being fought. NVIDIA is still the undisputed king of AI chips, no question. But the other giants, oh, they are nipping at their heels. You've got Intel launching powerful new laptop processors, AMD is souping up its super popular Ryzen lineup, and then there's Qualcomm making a huge play to get its Snapdragon chips into more and more PCs. It is an all-out battle. Okay, now let's zoom way, way out, because these chips, these AI models, they don't just exist in a vacuum. They're all plugging into this gigantic global machine that's being built right now at a scale that is, honestly, it's hard to wrap your head around. You want to talk about scale? Okay, how about this number? $35 billion. That's how much Amazon alone is planning to spend on new data centers, just in India. And they are not the only ones. Microsoft and Google are also pouring billions upon billions into that same region. They are all racing to build the physical backbone for this AI revolution. And this isn't just an India story, this is a full-on global construction boom. Southeast Asia is seeing double-digit growth in data center capacity. But it's not all smooth sailing. There are real challenges. In hotter climates, just cooling these massive server farms takes an insane amount of energy. And in places like Latin America, you're starting to see real resistance from communities who are worried about how much water and electricity these facilities are sucking up. So what does all this data center talk mean for you personally? Well, if you're a PC gamer, brace yourself. It's about to get a lot more expensive. See, these huge AI models, they need to hold just enormous amounts of data in their short-term memory to work. And that memory is RAM. Well, this AI boom is causing a massive global shortage of it. The data centers are just buying up all the supply, which means prices for the rest of us are going through the roof. Seriously, if you're planning to upgrade your PC or get a new graphics card in 2026, you might want to start saving your pennies now. All right, so we've got all this incredible new tech, the hardware, the AI, the infrastructure. But the big question is, how is it actually changing our lives? Let's start with the place we spend a huge chunk of our time, work. But here's the reality check. While literally everyone is talking about AI, it turns out not that many companies are actually using it all that effectively. We hear a ton about so-called AI agents, AI that can handle complex tasks all by itself. But check this out. According to Deloitte, only about 11% of companies are actually using them in production. A huge chunk are still just piloting them or trying to figure out a strategy. It really shows there's a big gap between having a cool AI experiment and actually making it a core part of your business. And this quote from HPE's CFO, Marie Myers, really nails the so what of all this. She says they wanted to transform an end-to-end process, not just fix one little thing. And that's the key lesson here, right? The companies that are actually winning with AI aren't just slapping it on top of old, broken ways of doing things. No, they're using it as a chance to completely rethink and redesign how work gets done from the ground up. So what about jobs? It's complicated. For sure, some fields like coding and customer service have already seen huge shifts. But this idea of widespread job replacement across the board, it's just not happening yet. What we are seeing is something a little more subtle. Some companies are actually putting a freeze on hiring, kind of waiting to see what AI will be capable of in the near future. AI is definitely finding success in very specific niche tasks, like summarizing dense legal documents. But is it ready to take over most people's jobs? Not yet. Okay, so for our final piece of the puzzle, let's zoom out one last time and talk about the big picture. How is all this technology really affecting our society? All of us. There is no doubt that the AI boom is creating just a staggering amount of wealth. But the question is, where is all that money going? Get this, in 2025 alone, just 10 top tech executives saw their personal fortunes increase by $550 billion. Let that sink in. That is a truly mind-boggling number, and it's a pretty stark illustration that the financial benefits of AI are, well, they're not being spread around very evenly. And at the exact same time, AI presents this massive security dilemma. It's a real double-edged sword. On one hand, bad actors are using it to create faster, scarier, more sophisticated cyber attacks. But on the other hand, AI-powered tools are also our absolute best defense, letting us fight back at machine speed. So the challenge for every single organization out there is now to secure their own AI across every single layer, from the data to the models to the applications. So if there's one single takeaway from all this about 2026, it's this. The speed of change is just off the charts. It used to take years for some groundbreaking new tech to hit the mainstream. Now, it feels like it's happening in months. The old rules, the old timelines, they're completely out the window. And that speed brings us to the final and maybe most critical question. Because as this innovation just keeps compounding on itself, the gap between the leaders who adapt and the laggards who get left behind, it's not just growing, it's growing exponentially. And this isn't just a question for big companies anymore. It's a question for every single one of us. In this world that's being remade before our very eyes, which side are you on?